Athletes receive payment for playing sports. Athletes generate an incredible amount of revenue for universities and their institutions. According to wildcatarizona.edu, the University of Alabama football program generates $45.2 million a year in just football revenue alone. All this money is generated because of the athletes' hard work and the time that they put in the off season and in practice. These athletes never see a penny of that money. Money that they get, the university gets from replica jerseys. They get from TV contracts and the sale of tickets and stuff like that the universities get. The athletes never see a dime of that. According to U.S. News, there's an annual average of around $1 billion of revenue generated by NCAA's March Madness. That's just for 1 year, $1 billion. And the SEC became the first conference just recently to crack $1 billion in total revenue, and that's according to PurdueExponent.org. So there's plenty of money circulating in college sports to pay these players, or at least compensate them a little bit for what they're doing on the field. Athletic scholarships. They do receive athletic scholarships, but what most people don't realize is that athletic scholarships do not cover the full cost of attendance for attending their universities. They can't. There's a rule that the NCAA has to do with the amateur status of the athlete. It can't legally, the scholarship cannot legally cover the full amount of tuition and room and board. So there's an average, as of the year 2010, 2011, there's an average of $3,222 left over in school-related fees that these athletes have to pay for. That's according to the AssetsUSW.org. So you're asking these players to pay that leftover amount, which most of them don't expect to be there. They think their college education's fully paid for, and even with that scholarship, there's a lot more to college experience than tuition and housing. According to the research from the people at NCPANow.org, the room and board portion of the athletic scholarship leaves 85% of the athletes living on campus and 86% of athletes living off campus below the federal poverty line. This athletic scholarship that they're being given is becoming no longer enough for these athletes to be willing to accept in comparison to the revenue that they generate. They do not have enough time to get a job. If that's what most people think. Well, why don't they just go out and get a job? Well, they don't have time because these athletes are young men and women as well. Most people don't think about that. We just see the fame and the glory they get on Saturday and Sundays. But they don't have the money to just go out and hang out with their friends on the weekend or go out on dates and stuff like that, because most of these athletes come from poverty. They don't come from wealthy families. All the time that they have to spend practicing, they're also students as well, so they're spending the same amount of time as regular students will, and even more time preparing themselves physically for Saturdays and their whatever their competition is. Like I said earlier, most collegiate athletes do not come from a wealthy family. So if this is the case, how do they get this money to support themselves throughout the week? To go on a date or to go out to eat or to get gas. We tend to think these people are just athletes. We just see them when they're on television. That's all we see them as. We sometimes we think that they don't have off the field problems like the rest of us do. And another thing is these kids are just 18 to 23 years old. And they come into all this fame and stuff. So we can't just go pointing fingers at these athletes who get in trouble for theft and gambling and violating NCAA rules for receiving improper benefits. Because just think about how hard it would be for for you to grow up in poverty and then go to college and try to struggle through college and try to find out how you're going to pay for your next meal. And all you have to do is sign an autograph or two to make a little bit of money so that you can eat. They're being told that you can't do that. A good example of this is say that you're a high-profile athlete and you're walking through a mall somewhere and you see your jersey hanging up in a store. The price tag on it about $90, and you're wondering why you're not getting a penny of that. Well, the university and the business that's selling it makes all the profit off of that, and they don't see a dime of it. And that's probably a really good feeling for some of these athletes to see their jersey hanging up in the store. The people, they're well known enough for people to buy that. That's probably a really good feeling. But what's more overwhelming than that's the feeling that they have to eat, or knowing how they're going to make it throughout the week. And that's just really unfair. Like I said earlier, these higher profile athletes, they're even further got the shorter end of the stick, because they have an easier route to make a lot of money by just signing autographs or showing up and doing photo appearances and things like that. They could make their ends meet that way, but that's another NCAA rule that they can't violate. My solution to this problem, I'm not trying to say that they need to get paid millions of dollars, such as in professional leagues, but there's plenty of money floating around here to take a portion of the revenue generated by all these universities. If you just take that, just a portion of it, and divide it by all the athletes, football, swimming, anything, any collegiate athletic program, and divide it by the number of athletes, and at least give them a stipend or something to make it month by month on, so that they don't have to struggle. That would be a good solution for these guys.